I haven't told anyone this. Not my friends, not my coworkers, not even the person I sometimes text when. Because honestly, I don't want to see that look on their faces, that mixture of concern and distance, the one people wear when they think you've. But something is happening. Something real. And I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending it's not. It began 3 weeks ago, though in truth, maybe it started even earlier, and I just didn't notice. My aunt passed away last year, unexpectedly. One day she was texting me to check the windows before bed. Body at the morgue. She didn't have children of her own, so I became the closest thing to family. She raised me, always looking out for me in subtle ways I didn't appreciate until now. After the funeral, I brought a few of her things home. Some old jewelry, her favorite blanket, a shoebox filled with cassettes and yellowed church newsletters. I don't remember keeping anything electronic, but clearly, I was wrong. I work from home, often alone late into the night, editing audio for a podcast project. One evening, I was cleaning up my files and found something I didn't remember creating, a WAV file titled "Lock the Door." I hovered my mouse over it. The timestamp said it was created 2 nights ago, precisely at 3:33 a.m. I was certain I hadn't been awake then. At least, I don't think I was. Against my better judgment, I clicked it. My aunt's voice played through my headphones, soft, low, and unmistakably her. "Did you lock the door?" she asked gently. It was the same phrase she used every night when I was a kid. The familiarity of her tone chilled me more than it comforted me. It wasn't from her old tapes. It wasn't a voicemail. There. On my laptop. In a folder I didn't create. I deleted it in a panic. But that didn't stop what came next. The following night, at exactly 3:33 a.m., my laptop powered on by itself. It had been completely shut down, not just in sleep mode. A new file was waiting for me on the desktop. "Don't go downstairs, WAV." Her voice again, but shakier this time. It sounded like she was trying to warn me. I told myself I wouldn't listen to it, but something drew me toward the basement door. I stood at the top of the stairs, earbuds in, listening. The final words of the file cut through me like glass. "I told you not to go down there." It wasn't a plea. It was a command. The basement door had always been unusual, sealed with 3 old bolts. My aunt never explained why, and I never asked. My grandmother, though, once told me something strange. She said evil doesn't knock. It settles where people stop looking. Rooms that go unused for too long stop belonging to the living. They become thresholds. And once something crosses through, it doesn't like to be interrupted. Since then, the files keep coming. One every night. Always 3 minutes and 33 seconds long. Always her voice, or something trying to sound like it. Sometimes she speaks slowly, as if struggling to remember the words. Other times, there's this delayed echo beneath her voice, like something else repeating her, just slightly behind. It doesn't always sound human. 2 nights ago, the police called me. They found her grave disturbed. Dug up, they said. I rushed to the cemetery. Her body had been found inside the broken coffin. Her mouth stretched open unnaturally, her fingernails cracked and dirty, as if she'd clawed from the inside. And beneath her, an old tape recorder. Still running. Her voice repeated, again and again, "You opened the door you shouldn't have." The cemetery was empty when I arrived later that evening, except for 2 people standing beside her grave. They didn't speak to each other. They stood silently, heads bowed slightly, staring at the cracked earth. I watched from a distance, hesitant to interrupt. Then something changed. More people appeared. I didn't see them arrive, they were just there. A crowd, at least 20 or 30, surrounding the grave. Some wore modern clothing, others were dressed in outdated, tattered garments, like they had walked out of another century. But they all whispered the same thing, over and over: you shouldn't have opened the door. Not once did they acknowledge me. They stared at the grave like it was a portal. Then, one by one, each wandered to a different gravestone. They stood by them in silence, eyes locked on the markers, lips unmoving. I turned to leave, but the path I came in on was gone. The gravel was now thick, wet soil, cold beneath my shoes. That's when I saw their eyes. All of them. They were bleeding. Black-red trails running down their faces like ink. Yet they never wept. Their gazes remained fixed, haunted, and unblinking. I turned back to my aunt's grave. It was no longer closed. She was standing there. Not lying in the earth, standing. Her body in the same dress she was buried in, fingers blackened and limp, hair matted with soil. Her eyes didn't move. Her lips formed a smile so brittle it looked painted on. "You came back," she whispered. I froze. "You're not supposed to be here," I managed to say. My voice shook. I was gone. "You brought me back," she replied, her voice like wine through dry leaves. "You opened the door. And once it's open, something always comes through." Her feet hovered above the dirt, not touching the ground. Behind her, graves began to tremble. Slowly, figures emerged from the soil. People I remembered from faded family photos. Others I didn't recognize at all. Their eyes bled. Their mouths whispered, "You opened the door. Now we're all awake." I ran. I didn't stop until I was home. But something followed. That night, a new file waited for me. The door is now open. My screen went black, then a message typed itself out. Letter by letter, as if someone was watching me. It wasn't just a sound file. It was a ritual. One embedded in code. A trap disguised as curiosity. The basement, I now realize, was where it began. A place something was summoned, contained, and then converted into audio, a digital vessel. The cursed data hides in plain sight. The moment I played that first file, I reopened what my aunt had died trying to seal. And now, they are here. The files don't stop. Every night at 3:33 a.m., my laptop powers on. Always a new file. Sometimes it's her voice. Other times it's not. Last night's file ended differently. There was a second voice beneath hers, lower, distorted, almost amused. It said, "You let it out. Now it wants to come through you." I don't know what I've invited. I don't know if it can be undone. But I know this: it isn't her anymore. It learned how to mimic her, how to use my grief like a doorway. It fed on my love for her, on my guilt. And now, every time someone listens, it spreads again. I can feel it crawling through my speakers, watching through the webcam, waiting for me to sleep. And still, I can't stop listening. I translated this in English, and this is what it means: "Even though I walk through the valley where the dead lay, I shall not fear evil. My guide, lead me into the shadows, to the place where light has fled." What happened in the basement didn't die there. Once something dark is unleashed, it doesn't stay buried. It clings to people, objects, even feelings. The curse doesn't need a ritual anymore. It just needs a listener. If you're reading this, it may already be too late. Check your folder, if you don't believe me. Mine was called "You Should Not Have Opened It This Wave." Yours will be "You Should Not Have Read This Wave." But you've come too close. The sound has already touched something inside you, and soon, you'll find yourself drawn back, again and again, compelled to listen, unable to resist. You can try to stop. You can pretend it's nothing. But the truth is, it's already too late.